The plane plummeted rapidly. Amber Rose, Caleb Anderson's first love, had a heart attack from the shock. I stopped Caleb from unbuckling his seatbelt and snatched the medicine from his hand to throw to her, but she still ended up being the only fatality in this plane malfunction. Afterwards, engagement, marriage, pregnancy, everything fell into place smoothly. Until I had complications during childbirth and was struggling for my life on the operating table. Caleb, now chief of surgery, watched me slowly lose consciousness with an expressionless face. Olivia Parker, now you know how terrifying it is for a patient when someone stands by and does nothing? It turns out he had hated me all along. I opened my eyes, reborn. This time, I let Caleb unbuckle his seatbelt. Go on, fulfill your duty to save lives. The plane was plummeting rapidly. Screams and cries erupted throughout the cabin except for Caleb. No one noticed Amber clutching her chest and quietly begging for help. The cabin announcement was playing. The plane is experiencing technical difficulties. Please fasten your seatbelts. Caleb raised his hand to unbuckle his seatbelt. He was ready to sacrifice his life without hesitation. If I hadn't accidentally discovered a photo of Caleb and Amber kissing before I died in my past life, I probably would have thought Caleb was just acting on his professional ethics as a doctor, but in reality, he just couldn't bear to let his first love die here. At that moment, the plane was shaking violently. People who weren't wearing seatbelts were even thrown high into the air before crashing back down, their heads bleeding, worried he would get hurt. I desperately tried to stop him from unbuckling his seatbelt and threw the heart medication in his hand to Amber. I said, Caleb, you need to ensure your own safety before you can save others. In the end, the plane malfunction resulted in 1 death, 5 severe injuries, and 8 minor injuries. Amber died the night the news came out. Caleb proposed to me. He said we had been through life and death together, hand in hand. I was so touched that I burst into tears, but when I confronted him with a photo of him and Amber, he angrily pushed me, pregnant, down the stairs. All the deep affection vanished in an instant. Only intense, bone-deep hatred remained. Olivia Parker, you're a doctor too. Have you never had nightmares all these years about watching a patient die right in front of you? I was rushed to the hospital with severe bleeding. As I lay on the operating table desperately struggling, the doctors were slow to arrive. Only Caleb, now chief of surgery, entered the room. He watched me slowly lose consciousness with an expressionless face. Olivia Parker, now you know how terrifying it is for a patient when someone stands by and does nothing? You selfish woman, you finally experienced Amber's pain. How wonderful. After 10 years of marriage, there was not a trace of pain or pity in his eyes. His venomous gaze pierced me like a sharp blade, wounding me all over. Living this life again, I stepped aside to let Caleb go save Amber, he said with disgust. Olivia Parker, thankfully you didn't stop me this time, otherwise, my heart skipped a beat. Had Caleb been reborn too? Amber was extremely lucky this time. After taking the medicine and receiving CPR from Caleb, she slowly regained consciousness, but Caleb's luck wasn't so good. Without his seatbelt on, he was thrown high into the air by the violently shaking plane and hit his head, immediately losing consciousness. He had multiple fractures all over his body as well, especially his hands. He became one of the severely injured. After 3 days in the ICU, Caleb was moved to a regular ward. The doctor said he was in a deep coma and if he didn't wake up within 7 days, he would become a vegetative patient. Mrs. Anderson wailed and screamed at the hospital, blaming me for not taking good care of her boyfriend. She lunged at me and grabbed my clothes. This is a disaster. He's my only son. I raised him with such difficulty. Olivia Parker, if anything happens to Caleb, you'll have to pay with your life. I couldn't help but laugh coldly. Caleb's father had passed away early, leaving his mother to raise him alone, but Caleb was very successful, a top student since childhood. He later went straight to graduate school and got his PhD, sailing smoothly through life. Mrs. Anderson always thought her son was heaven's chosen one, and no one was good enough for him, including me. Even though my mother was the hospital director and my father was a big shot in the medical field, even though Caleb became chief of surgery within just a few years of graduating thanks to my family's influence, Mrs. Anderson still thought I wasn't good enough for her precious son. A crowd had gathered around us, with many people taking out their phones to record. Not far away, the door to the ward was pushed open by a woman wearing a mask and covered from head to toe. I recognized that figure even in my dreams. I grabbed Mrs. Anderson's hand and pointed at Amber. Mrs. Anderson, if you're looking for someone to blame, it shouldn't be me. That woman over there is Caleb's precious darling. He unbuckled his seatbelt to save her, and now he's in a coma. Amber's movements froze. When she heard this, she turned to run. Mrs. Anderson rushed over and slapped her hard across the face. The mask and hat were all violently torn off, exposing Amber's face to the cameras. Amber Rose, it's you. Mrs. Anderson scratched Amber's face. If my son doesn't wake up, I'll kill you. Are you crazy? Amber let out a shrill scream. The angelic face was filled with impatience and anger. I didn't beg your son to save me. He chose to be a simp and rushed over recklessly when he saw I was uncomfortable. It has nothing to do with me. I even came to see him out of kindness. With your attitude, forget it. Amber fled in a panic. Mrs. Anderson collapsed to the ground, her face full of resentment. Point 3 Mrs. Anderson followed me into the ward. Anyway, I don't care. You all share responsibility. If Caleb doesn't wake up, you'll all have to take care of him and me. I rolled my eyes and glanced at Caleb's condition on the hospital bed. Still no improvement. His face was bruised and swollen, almost unrecognizable. I wonder how he would feel if he knew that Amber, whom he had tried so hard to protect, had actually said such things. Unfortunately, he was in a coma now and couldn't know anything. I clicked my tongue in regret, about to turn and leave, when suddenly I saw a thin, transparent human form sit up from the bed. I was so startled that I stumbled backwards, stepping on Mrs. Anderson's foot. What the hell? Why are you stepping on me? Mrs. Anderson angrily shoved me, her hand passing through Caleb's soul. She couldn't see him. I didn't dare look directly either, only daring to observe the soul state from the corner of my eye. I saw Caleb first shocked, then panicked, and finally, he ran in front of me and waved his hand. Olivia Parker, can you see me? I could even hear him speak. Could it be because I had been reborn? I pretended not to see or hear him. Caleb sat back down by the bed with a disappointed look, muttering to himself. Where's Amber? I wonder how Amber is doing. This time, did I manage to protect her? Why hasn't she come to see me?